Hello, folks. This is old Pudgy again, back with Team Red Wet version, as I will call, since I have just recently installed a custom water cooling loop in my Team Red box that now my AMD Radeon RX Vega 64 now has a nice new EK water block, full coverage water block on there, which cools all parts on that vid card with a EKG backplate that also serves as a passive cooler for the backside. Therefore, this is all set in with my AMD Ryzen 7 1800X. Also, it's sitting on the EKG Supremacy Evo water block with the corresponding jets and jet plate installed. So that now this thing is running on a full custom loop. And in that process, we're going to see what it's doing. Now, as I've been sitting here, since the control pattern of this Radeon RX Vega 64 happens to be that when I'm sitting on the ground and this control mechanism uses GPU percentage to tell it when to actually boost power. So any percentage that's the threshold is 70% GPU usage load. Anything below 70%, doesn't matter what you do, this card's going to downclock. It is just the nature of the beast, because with loads below that threshold, they put in that algorithm, there is absolutely no reason to push this card at full clocks, because it will handle everything that you can throw at it as a lesser clock. So at 70%, it begins to clock gate the GPU to the load. The lower the load goes, the lower the clocks go to match that. Now, anything above 70% load, it'll do the same. Anything, any increase, it will automatically clock up to meet that until it hits full clock. So now the advent of putting a water block on this RX Vega 64 is to essentially put enough cooling in this system to where it removes the temp targets out of the way. So by putting enough water in here to where you'll never hit the TDP of 85 degrees C, only thing now you leave is a power target. So now this thing can boost itself up to the max, depending on ASIC of the chip, because you'll get all the power it needs to do whatever it does based on load. But as you see in this game, the way this is running, this thing it's going to be based on load. So with this card, you're very rarely going to see this thing hit 1600, because it just ain't going to load itself unless you push everything out to the point. So right now, as far as the graphics settings in game are concerned, as I will post them up so you can see for yourself. And let me turn the overlay off for a moment so you can see this. This is where the settings are. As you will see, everything in here is set up to where I am sitting there with that full, all sliders maxed. The only one I didn't do, I left detail at default, because basically I'm flying, I don't want to push it. I could throw it all the way up, could do that later, just for all of those who are into that kind of thing, but I'm showing you that the only thing in this card that's not put at max is tree detail. So there you are. So as we were sitting here, as I'll turn now the overlay back on, what I'm doing here is allowing the system, because when I'm on the ground, as I said, this thing will clock up to its highest. As you see, it's done. So what I'm doing is allowing this thing to put the system in full heat soak. I'm sitting here letting this thing heat itself up, because on the ground it's the hottest it's going to get. If I start flying, it's going to adjust down, just the way it is. So now, I'm sitting there letting this thing to get heat, and I want you to notice, as you can see where our temperatures are climbing to. But to let you know how this loop is doing, note the temperature of the GPU versus CPU. As you see that they're essentially matched, it's showing you how this loop is set up to where, as I'm heating and cooling all of this, is that my 120 red at the back and its fan is attached to the CPU, so it's reading that temperature. So it's only spinning that up just to keep the CPU temperature matched. So that you know that that fan ain't doing a whole lot of RPMs. It's set on the low end to where it only allowed it to drop around to about 1,000 RPM. So to show you, that fan isn't spinning any faster. So essentially, when you're looking at that, the 240 in the front is basically doing most of the work to hold this temperature where it is. I thought that's pretty interesting. Now you notice each time we see the CPU is jumped, as we see something load changes jump, then we see things spread around returning. So as we see in that heat up, this is where it is. But I'm allowing this thing to reach full temp soak as we're sitting here. Before I go fly, because once I fly, she's clocking down. Just the nature of the beast. It's just what it's going to do. There is no getting around it. You cannot go in here with custom mode and setup because you will not change that. The only thing that's going to change that is BIOS. You're going to have to go into the BIOS and do it. That's why they don't let you do it. And as I'm understanding from my reading, on the NVIDIA side with GPU Boost 3, pretty similar, and they do the same. So there is no difference in the control mechanism. They both do the same. So when you're looking at this card, you're pretty much seeing 1080s, 1070s, 1080s, 1060s, 80 Ti's. They all work the same. Okay, enough of that. Now let's put this thing in the air and let's see what she do. You note on this thing, as I gain altitude, you notice to see the GPU usage in percentage is dropping off. And you also note as it does that, the GPU clocks drop off. Just as I said, this is what this thing's gonna do. And you notice at some point, the memory clocks drop off. As load drops, they drop. That's simple. So when you're looking at using an RX Vega vid card, doesn't matter whether it's the 56 or the 64, this control mechanism is the same. So as you're running one of these cards, remember, GPU usage load is going to determine power load and temp load if you're at TDP. as I said, the installation of this custom cooling water loop it takes the temp load out of the picture. It removes that. So the only thing that this thing is going to work on is the power target. Alright. The drivers is set up at default on the balance load as far as balanced in wattlet. What that does, it basically puts everything in automatic, which all will be back according to what you've seen written up. And as far as the power is automatically set for 50%. It's flat out. So therefore, it's going to send this thing it can put up to 50% overpower as it needs it. Therefore, this thing is automatically overclocking itself. That's the whole purpose of this setup, is for this thing to automatically overclock itself to meet the performance needs of the user at the time. It's the wave of the future. Both sides do it. So we as users just need to get used to understanding everything is going to be auto overclock. It's all built into it. They won't let you change it. So learn how to use it. So therefore, if you want to get the absolute best out of a NVIDIA vid card, you need to do the same thing. Now, they're more efficient versus the AMD Radeon series at the moment, but the process is the same. So even with a NVIDIA 1060, 1070, 1080, or 1080 Ti, and the Ti show that thing by the marketing thing, you want the most out of that card, put a water block on it, because its control mechanism works exactly the same. So if you want to get the absolute most out of a NVIDIA card, put a water block on it, remove its temp target, which its TDP target is 83 degrees Celsius. Not much different than this one's 85. So if you want to get the most out of a NVIDIA card, you need to do the exact same thing. Slap water on it. And then you'll get everything it'll give you. But if you don't put water on it, you're going to be throttled according to a load target, a usage target on the CPU, power target to the GPU, temp target to the GPU. Just the way it is. No different between the two. So it's not about who's best or who's this per se. Efficiency-wise, NVIDIA has this done. So they're able to use less power in the same temp envelope. That's the differences in efficiency-wise. And in that efficiency-wise, under the current things, this is where their performance comes in. But once you put water on, that same delta is there. So now, with water on this card, water on that card, both pulled out, both lines, they'll even up. This is what people will see if you do this. Now, I know there's a lot of discussion out there, and a lot of people will say one thing versus another, and some will try to say that old Fudgy doesn't know what he's talking about. But from engineering understanding and standpoint of laws of physics, once you slap water on both of these cards, you even everything up. So now you take the temp out of the picture. It is all about now is what can they do? Because as I lower the temperature on that GPU and memory, I increase power efficiency. Plain simple. Don't go past go. Don't collect $200. Engineering 101. So as I keep the temperature down, I increase the power efficiency. Plain as day. So this Vega at the same run will actually lose less power than it would without it. So if you want to save power on a Vega card, slap water on it and get the temp down. You increase power efficiency, so it uses less power to make the same speed. Pure case, end of story. Voila. That's why the temperatures are where they are. Engineering at its finest. Here we go. But as you see, that we're clocked down, you see where the card is clocked. Now, because the temperature target has been lowered by this cooler and it's down to where it is, what you are seeing now is the difference. Now, as the power can move up based on the load. Since it doesn't see the temp, it sets the power. Still, since the load is below 70%, the clocks are not at full, and they won't go full unless I increase the usage load, which means increase the settings. Ain't going anywhere. Okay? And to give you an example of that, here's what old Pudgy is fixing to do. You see where that's at, right? Now, I'm going to go into graphic detail. You notice where I got everything else set. I'm going to take this out of the way for a moment. Let's move this to there. Boom. Put that back. Put this back. Now, you notice where we're at. Where is my target now? I'm over 72%. Where's the memory at? It's bouncing back up to this. Where's the clocks at? They're close to 1400, and that's not me even moving an altitude or moving anything else. There's your sign, people. This is how the future looks. There you are. Boom, there it is. Now, let's go back in here and do it again. Alright. I'm going to go back. And let's move that all the way down. Boom. Go back. Bring this back up. Now let's watch and see what it does. And you just saw a screen freeze where you saw all that fluctuate and you saw that card drop and come back up. So here we are. She's sitting right there rolling. We're sitting right there running. You can see the temperature is running. So where we are is in a part of the map where that goes. Alright. Here we go again. So now, let's bring this up. Graphic detail. Take this out. I can put that back because that ain't going to change. And let me lower that. Now, where did we go? You see that drop? The clock's drop. There we are. Just shows you how this stuff works. This is the wave of the future. This is auto overclock. You take the settings now, clocks drop. That simple. Do it again. Drop this down. Drop that down. Put it back. There we go. It's even lower. You unload the car. You unload this thing. There we go. There's that temp dropping down. Look at that. Now you notice where this thing has clock gated itself back down to. I better move before I end up getting shot out. I want to show you, and you can see, we lost not one FPS doing all of that. This is where these cars work their magic. That's how they operate. So now, understanding this is how you can get the most out of them. Okay? Here we go. Now this is nighttime. This is where it raises the usage up the highest. You can see that jump, that move, that move. There's your sign. I don't know how many times we gotta say it, but there it is. Now let's go back here. And I'm going to put all this stuff back where I had it, which is pretty much where we are. But let's go back. There. how it's running? No changes. Everything's good. It's all got to do with the load. That's what you need to remember. A lot of this other stuff ain't what it is. This is the nature of the beast. This is the technology at hand. So to understand the tech, this is where they're gonna go, and you ain't gonna change it. You or I cannot alter that. You only need to learn how to work within that. So here we go. One more time. You can see where I put all this. There we are. So let me get out of the way. I'm going to take an aim at it.
Alert.
Turn that back
They are
on.
engaging
Now,
our fields.
I want you to see as I'm down here on the deck, to see how much video card memory that's using. That's almost 1.9 gig. Because I am pushing this car big time on the graphic settings. It doesn't look it to you, but on the driver's side, this thing is applying super sampling in addition to FXAA on the post-processing side. So I am pushing this GPU for all its work. And there's the performance you see from it. By simply putting water on this thing, he's bringing everything back in line. And now I can get full performance from this good old Radeon RX Vega 64. Here we go. Right here in front of you. That's what it's about. Okay? Now, you understand why old Pudgy made the investment that I did of what I did. Because what I just done by using this and working this, that I'm taking full advantage of AMD's full ecosystem here. Because I have a FreeSync monitor with an AMD CPU, an AMD GPU with custom loop that optimize both of them. Because remember, the CPU in here also uses the same load overclocking tech. As you can see, as it's doing that, it only clocks where it needs to, down clocks where it don't. So the overall power savings is greater than what a lot of people say. The performance is as good or better than a lot of people say. And so now this system should perform under normal maintenance for years. I want to change anything. This is what it's about. This is why I do what I do. When it comes to performance, I'm going to take technology over all this brute stuff every day of the week, and I'm going to maximize it. That's what you see. There you are. That's Team Red in action. Set up everything the way that you see, so you can see what's going on. So now I'm going to set everything back where I had it. This is where I will be normally operating this. This is all good because it doesn't make much difference anyway. Boom, there's your sign. So now, I got all that horsepower when I need it, and when I don't, it's there. But you can see the game is constantly locked out at 90 FPS, regardless of where it is. That, my friends, is what true performance is about. Now, this is not whether I can have one or not the other. I have them both. I can choose where this goes. That's technology is all about when it comes to optimization. User choice in a cost-effective, friendly ecosystem that gives me everything I want, when I want, the way I want, how I want it. This is what it's all about. Thank you and enjoy. All right, folks. Peace out.